Hi guys, back with another video for you today. Exciting new brand launch for you today. I'm discussing with you from the guy behind Gallagher Fragrances, although it's not just the guy behind Gallagher Fragrances. Apparently it's a kind of a collaboration brand started with his wife. Daniel Gallagher and his wife came up with a new fragrance house called Pearlescent Parfums, and they have two fragrances called Baklava. Exciting name, right? Gourmand for sure, and then Aquarose. So today I'm going to talk to you about these two fragrances. Really delicious fragrances actually, and also in this video I'm going to discuss with you OVert from Gallagher Fragrances. So if you want to find out about these three fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, today I'm talking about Gallagher Fragrances' brand new sister company or sister house called Pearlescent Parfums. They're launching with two new fragrances that are called the Baklava and Aquarose. These were sent to me for this specific review. Actually, I'm really impressed with the quality of these fragrances. I really am enjoying what I'm smelling. I'm giving you my honest opinions, and I've realized that Daniel Gallagher's perfumery has, evolved to really doing some great work. His latter fragrances for Gallagher Fragrances, I really have enjoyed. The Patchouli I loved. The Tonka Bean Chocolate one I really enjoyed. Rosé All Day I really liked. And then I'm also enjoying OVert. And now we have a brand that was launched together with his wife. I guess they wanted to launch a brand that was a little more unisex leaning because Gallagher Fragrances was a little on the masculine side. And we do have some unisex offerings here. In fact, Aquarose might actually lean a little feminine, but if you like rose in fragrances, fresh, sort of leaning aquatic, you might dig this one. And of course, Baklava for me was an exciting idea because I enjoy this stuff. I love eating it, so we can have it in perfume form here. So I'm going to let you know about these two, what I think about them, how they smell, and all that good stuff. And yes, I'm enjoying OVert as well. I Instagrammed about it recently, and I also featured this fragrance in a most worn, most enjoying fragrances video recently, but I thought might as well do an actual review of the fragrance since I am reviewing these two new fragrances from Pearlescent Parfums. So I'll let you know all about these three fragrances, but before I do, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So how many of you are fans of Gallagher Fragrances, and what is your favorite fragrance from Gallagher Fragrances? And did you know that Pearlescent Parfums is launched? I think the website will be fully up. I mean, the website is there, but I think it's not 100% ready, and I think it's going to be ready sometime during the middle of the week. But since I am very excited about these two fragrances, I thought I'd get the message out there. And for me, I'm enjoying them. Out of the two, I enjoy Baklava a little more than this because I'm not the biggest fan of aquatic fragrances, and I think this one doesn't lean too aquatic, so it's okay in the end, but there are those light aquatic touches under there. But I'm a gourmand lover, and I think he's done a great job here with Baklava. So the two fragrances are sold for $175. They're Extrait de Parfum concentration, meaning the highest concentration of perfume oil. They are 60 milliliter bottles, not 50 traditionally, so it's a different size. So if it was like traditionally 50 milliliter, you're getting an extra 10 ml kind of a thing. So it's a non-traditional size, but I think it's getting a little more popular with the size. But the fragrances are Extrait de Parfum concentration, very long-lasting fragrances. In fact, I personally think that Gallagher fragrances in general are pretty long-lasting, and I thought they were mostly eau de parfums, but it turns out OVert is an eau de toilette, and I'll get to that a little more when I'm discussing it. But let's talk about Baklava a little bit first. This has notes of sweet orange, bergamot, cherry, almonds, pistachio, neroli, baklava, honey, vanilla, patchouli, musk. So those are what the notes are. I'm assuming when they're referring to baklava, are they referring to phyllo dough? I mean, I grew up with my mom making baklava all the time. I knew how she made it. It's all the ingredients that go in it. This as a fragrance has other notes in it that I don't traditionally see in baklava. Almonds are not traditionally in baklava. It's more walnuts, so that's kind of different. Also, cherries do not appear in baklava, but there could be desserts that use this kind of phyllo dough-like pastry dough with cherries, so that's something that could be in there as well. But oranges don't appear as well, so I guess you can put orange blossom in the simple syrup you're using, because some of the countries in the Middle East use simple syrup instead of honey. This one features honey, but in the end, it's a very, very delicious concoction because it starts off citrusy and then immediately you're starting to experience the nuts and the cherries. Here, you might kind of be reminded of something like Lost Cherry. Not a lot. There's light hints of it, but everything is developing a lot. Like, the pistachios come in. It's a very nutty experience. The Neroli comes in. Baklava, is it a baklava accord we're experiencing? Because it says baklava as a note. That kind of threw me off, but that comes in as well, apparently. But I think it's the entire mix of the notes together acting like baklava with additional notes. Very honeyed for sure, and then of course vanilla, patchouli, and musk comes in as well. It's doughy, it's also kind of granular, and it's also ambery resinous rather than syrupy. I don't experience syrupiness much here, but it does get ambery and powdery in the end, but it becomes very, very delicious. I almost also feel like there's a little bit of rose in here. I'm getting something rosy in there, perhaps notes mixing together, making it smell like roses, but I've had baklava made with simple syrup that was made with rose essence, so I could see that in here. But in the end, I think it's less of a baklava, more of a gourmand, kind of a pastry or cookie or cake kind of an experience, but it's really, really delicious. So a great offering from this house. One other thing I should mention about baklava is that it does kind of remind me a little bit. Both fragrances kind of remind me a little bit of Rosé All Day from Gallagher Fragrances. Not too much, just hinting at it a little bit. But in the end, I really enjoyed baklava. Out of the two, it's my favorite because I love gourmands, I love delicious fragrances, I love fragrances that smell like, cooking spices and cooking ingredients and things like that. Always, always love that stuff, and here I think they've done a great job with this particular fragrance. So it is an Extrait de Parfum concentration, and it's also $175, 60 ml. So a little on the pricier side, but a little goes a long way with this one. It's definitely, 2-3 sprays max, and you're kind of set for a whole day. It's very, very long lasting, so the oils are concentrated here. And the launch of this fragrance now, I think it's better suited for cooler weather, for those of you that follow seasons and what kind of fragrances to wear in specific seasons. I wore it several times since I picked up the package, and I have been enjoying wearing it. And although there's a little bit of a humidity here in San Francisco, but it's been breezy, cool, so it worked perfect for me. I'm not sure if it's going to work for me when it's like cooking outside, like really hot, but a great scent here. Baklava is wearing beautifully. For me, I really am enjoying that one. Let's move on to Aqua Rose next, this one right here. I do want to say something about the bottles as well. The bottles are very unique. They do remind me of some other bottles from other houses, but I think they've done kind of a great job with the bottles themselves. And also, I can see that they're not as masculine as the Gallagher Fragrances bottles. They are definitely a little on the feminine side, but it wouldn't turn me off if I was, looking at the bottles, kind of a thing, The presentation is great, but the fragrances are also really great in here. So Aqua Rose is the same price point. Again, it's an Extrait de Parfum. This one has notes of bergamot, sweet orange, jasmine, magnolia blossoms, May rose, Turkish rose, sea spray, white ambergris, sandalwood, patchouli, driftwood, musk, musk mallow, or otherwise known as ambrette seeds. Lots going on in this one, a lot. It's a really, really busy fragrance, but it doesn't really wear busy too much. It wears fresh, and it wears very, very floral. And the rose is king here. It's the one note that's actually running the show. And you've got the two kinds of roses in this particular fragrance. But it does start off citrusy once again. There's that blast of citruses, and then it develops into the rose. And along the way with the rose, you are experiencing other flowers, of course. Magnolia comes in. For me, magnolia flowers don't smell very strong. I mean, they're not like a pungent smell. They're very, very faint, kind of a floral smell, kind of citrusy as well. Like there's a light lemony touch in there. So the magnolia blossoms here are you know, a nice balance out, or kind of a note, kind of like rounds out the notes together. But the jasmine is pretty strong in here. It's pretty potent, but still I think the jasmine and rose combo together is kind of beautiful together. The sea spray now, the aquatic parts of this fragrance, it's not overly aquatic. It's very, very tolerable. I'm not the biggest fan of aquatic fragrances, so I would let you know that this is ultra, you know, marine or seaweed smelling. This does not smell like that. There's a little bit of a slight salty marine thing happening under there, but I think it's a nice balance. It's not overdone. It's not like, you know, shocking when you put your nose to it. Definitely gets musky, and then we do have the musk in here, woods, and the musk mallow ambrette seeds note here to you know, extend the life of the fragrance, because I enjoy these musky notes in fragrances, and I think it's a great balance for lots of floral citruses up top and woods and musks in the base notes. So it's a really great release. It's not my favorite out of the two. My favorite out of the two is baklava, of course. Just love the gourmand parts of it, but I think for warm days, I think Aqua Rose is better suited. And both I feel like are unisex. I don't think that, well, let me take that back. I think Aqua Rose definitely leans a little more feminine than baklava, but I personally think both fragrances are very, very unisex. In fact, I wouldn't put a gender on these fragrances personally, but I guess each person has to judge what they think about a fragrance. Does it smell feminine? Does it smell masculine? You have to decide yourself. Out of the two, I feel like Aqua Rose leans a little more feminine than baklava, but both to me are very unisex. So those are my first thoughts on these two fragrances. I think both are really, really great scents, but as I said, out of the two, I enjoy baklava more because I like my gourmands a little, and it is really, really a delicious gourmand. Really does smell great, nutty. The nuts do come in. Pistachios, I forgot to mention about this one, definitely has a pistachio present, and definitely is a nut that's used in baklavas. I've eaten plenty of baklava with pistachios on it. But to me, the almonds was a little different. Traditionally, it's not used in baklava. It's more walnuts. But I think the fragrance itself, even though it might act like a baklava type of a fragrance, I think it's more of a different kind of a unique kind of a baklava experience, and more of a pastry experience. Either way, I think these are both solid releases. I hope you guys get to check them out. If you like gourmands, definitely check out baklava. If you like the rosy scents, check out the Aqua Rose. And one more thing I should say about Aqua Rose, it does say aqua, it doesn't say marine rose, so definitely the marine parts are not really, really strong in that fragrance, so that's a good thing. Now I want to let you know a little bit about OVert. Since I've spoken a little bit about this one, and I've also Instagrammed about it, I featured it in a most worn, most enjoying fragrances video recently, and this is definitely a really great fragrance for now, for hot days, warm days, humid days. I think the combination of the citruses in here with the vetiver is a match made in heaven. You've got, you know, the fresh, refreshing, invigorating, sparkly citruses, nicely contrasted with some spices and vetiver. For me, the citruses like lemon and vetiver are what's pretty much running the show. The vetiver is a very tolerable vetiver to those of you that don't like vetiver. Sometimes vetiver, I get comments that say vetiver is too masculine, vetiver is too earthy, vetiver is too moldy kind of smelling, things like that is what I get. Here I think it's a very grassy kind of a vetiver. Definitely has the earthy touches, but for me it's more like grass, like an earthy grassy experience rather than this kind of like deep underground moldy kind of a rooty vetiver. So that's a great thing here. But along with the lemons and the vetiver, you do experience some sweetness from the mandarin. The lemon, of course, is a little on the tart side, but I think it's not an overly tart sour citrus experience. It's nicely balanced with enough tart and sweetness together. The cardamom also does come in. It does add the spices to the fragrance, and of course sea salt does come in. And sea salt doesn't take it to a you know, aquatic direction, just has that light saltiness to the fragrance that kind of has this very, very unique grounding effect to the fragrance, and adds a you know, like sometimes the tartness is too tart and you add a little salt to it and you kind of balance it out when you're cooking. I think that's kind of I'm experiencing it like that with this particular one. So it kind of like neutralizes the citrus acidity a little bit here, and that's what it's doing for me. And I think it's a nice balance, and it does add light, very, very light aquatic marine type thing in there, but this is definitely not a marine fragrance. And then of course once all that's done, it's definitely on the musky side. A very, very fresh fragrance, very, very enjoyable, very, very fun and refreshing. It's got the cooling vibe going for it. So if you're really hot on a hot summer day, hot and humid, I think OVert is a perfect fragrance. It wears great. The longevity is also great for what it is. So it's an eau de toilette, but it has decent performance, and I enjoy what I'm wearing. It's a great smelling fragrance. I love citruses, and the lemon in here is a perfect kind of lemon. I mean, I do enjoy the tart lemons as well, but in here we've got a nice balance of sweet tart together with that grassy vetiver. A really, really solid release from Gallagher Fragrances, and that's OVert. And that's my video for you today. I just wanted to highlight these two new fragrances, Baklava Aquarose. Check them out. Those of you that like gourmands, or if you've been looking for a fragrance inspired by baklava, check it out here. It is a little different, as I said, cherries and almonds and things like that, but I think it's more of a baklava type of dessert with additional notes on it, rather than, if you're used to your traditional baklava, it's a little more than that, if that makes sense. And then of course Aquarose, as I said, is a very refreshing, fresh, but substance, lots of substance there with the notes in that one, rose fragrance. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, please list below. I have info in the info box, links to the websites to these brands. You can go check them out. But as I said, if you have any questions or comments, please list below. Have you tried these fragrances? Are you curious to try them? Let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Either way, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.